Welcome everyone to the Toku Portal podcast. It's me, Zero, here with.
Rai. Welcome to Kamen Rider Zi-O, episode 43. Before we begin, I want to apologize for not doing the Sentai podcast yesterday. Some scheduling issues came up, and we were not able to reschedule for in time earlier before this podcast, so we're going to do it after this one. Uh, so, into the episode. I've been saying we pick up where we left off a lot lately. They've just been flowing into each other a lot with this final arc instead of doing the 2 episode formula.
Yeah. Um, which, for like the final arc, that kind of makes sense. Um, yeah. Yeah. Not much else to say about that.
Alright. So, quick recap. Schwartz kidnaps Tsukuyomi, and Hiryu still has a massive hate boner for Sogo. Uh, so, uh, Schwartz explains to Tsukiomi, yeah, you're my little sister. That's why we have time powers and all that stuff. Rather, is having a hard time believing it. And then Oro walks in and she tries calling Schwartz out, but he just takes her time jacker powers away from her. Or tries helping her up, and Schwartz starts sending another riders at them. Basically, Schwartz is trying to make himself king. That's his goal all this time, which we already knew that, but now his own allies know it, and they realize that they were just being used, and he doesn't need them anymore.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, from one thing, it's yeah, we're finally getting the Time Jacker plot. The problem is, it's the most predictable thing ever. I mean, well, that's not true. Um,
We
the whole
predicted this a long time ago.
Yeah, the Schwartz being out for himself. Yeah, we kind of call that. But the whole royal family shit, right? And you were gonna be the next lion stuff. Like that, I think the only person I've ever heard call that out is you.
Okay.
So good job on that.
I did call the royal line thing. I'm a little proud of that. I did not predict the whole incentive of Tsukuyomi was going to be the next true heir instead of Schwartz. That part got me. But that explains...
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, that explains how Tsukuyomi ended up with amnesia. Schwartz tried getting rid of her.
Right. That's actually a good point. The problem here becomes okay, Schwartz is vague because oh, royal line. So here's the thing, is he a descendant of Omazio?
I'm still going with yes, and based on how Omazio is 60 something, almost 70, I am going with that they are the grandchildren still.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, the problem then becomes it's okay, if he's alright, if they're not Omazio's kids, fine, they're another person who had time powers, that's fine. If they are Omazio's descendants, the problem then becomes it's okay, when the fuck did Omazio become some caring asshole? Because he's not. He literally, okay, he would know that Tsukiyomi is his granddaughter, and he sent killer robots after her. And then Schwartz doesn't give a shit because he's always been trying to get rid of Tsukiyomi anyway.
Wait.
Right? And then the whole thing of oh no, Schwartz chose Tsukiyomi because Amazio chose Tsukiyomi to be the next monarch. Because Schwartz is too, bloodthirsty or whatever, or Tsukiyomi had a better heart. I'm that, how does that even fit? Omazio continues to be a clusterfuck. Like that's the biggest problem. Like watching this episode, I realized is like this show's not bad, but it's like the definition of fucking mediocre writing,
Okay.
right? Like everything just happens for plot, and like nobody actually gets character.
You're
Yeah,
right.
go ahead.
Um, so that killer robot thing, that was back when like Decade first appeared or whatever, and he sent down one of his
Yeah,
emissaries to go after the people trying to stop Sogo from becoming the Demon King, right? That's what happened?
yeah.
Did he... Okay, so time
Well, he
things.
tells them to just take out Gates and Tsukiyomi. He directly
Wait,
instructs.
he directly says Tsukuyomi?
I think so.
Uh,
I mean, I know he was definitely going after Gates, but I
like,
think
yeah.
he's like, yeah, just get rid of both of them.
Hmm. Okay. Uh, that
I mean,
does...
you can say like, okay, if it's like, if it's my timeline or you, Tsukiyomi, fuck you, I'm choosing my own life in my own future. Cool. But I'm like, if that's the case, then you don't end up being like the only reason future Amazio chooses Tsukiyomi is just to fuck over Schwartz at this point. So this is no like, oh no, like Amazio
Maybe...
had a change of
Okay.
heart. Tsukiyomi would have been a better leader for the world. It's none of that shit. Like the only thing that makes sense is like out of spite, Omazio just chose Tsukiyomi, and again continues to like shit over all the
Alright,
freaking
I'm,
female
I'm
characters in
totally
this
willing
show.
to believe that more than what I'm about to suggest. Uh,
Go ahead.
since since he's like watching Sogo, his younger self, walk the path to becoming the Demon King. Uh, what if like sending that assassin was kind of like a test of Sogo's vigor of to like help push him along the path to becoming the Demon King? Like, if you're going to be the king, you need to be able to command your subjects. Here's a subject that is going against your wishes. What are you going to do about it, huh?
Yeah, the problem then becomes is like in Omazio's timeline, none of this timey-wimey shit happened. Like Schwartz happened, but like Gates and Tsukiyomi didn't happen.
Gates and Tsukiyomi didn't happen. Decade didn't happen.
Right, like so.
Whitewash
So
didn't
I
happen.
So this whole thing of like, oh, this is a test or it's some weird
Yeah.
predestination paradox shit, it doesn't quite make sense.
Actually, I
Again,
would
because
argue
the
it.
shows,
I would argue it makes
yeah,
more sense because it is a different timeline. Because there are things interfering with Sogo's path to the Demon King. Omazio himself stepping up to the plate and throwing in his own influence makes more sense here because things are already not going
no,
as
no,
they should.
right, that makes sense. But like him stepping in makes sense. His actions are stupid, right? Like
Yes.
that's the
Okay.
problem.
Okay. That is the problem.
Yeah, that's like literally the problem with the show is like, why does anybody do anything? Because that's what the plot said so. Like, it's so fucking
Like
dumb.
if they do turn out to be Omazio's grandkids, Schwartz created his own grandfather.
I mean, that kind of makes sense because he wants to be the ruler of the world, right? So he
Right.
wants to
So
maintain
he
that
ensures
timeline.
that like that Demon King timeline happens. But you know what that means?
What?
It means that Sogo becomes the King of Time in a timeline before Schwartz.
Right.
So what
Well,
if?
the thing is,
Mm,
Sogo. That's weird because like maybe Sogo was already. Okay, I think
yeah,
what happened is like Schwartz wanted like this again. It's the problem of like what's the plot, whatever. I mean,
well,
what
yeah.
do the
What's the
characters do?
plot?
Whatever. Yeah, right. Because the problem is like you can argue like, oh, maybe he wanted to usurp him
Okay.
and like just take Omazio out and just get like a puppet king,
So
right? And make his own timeline. But that like wipes their timelines out, so it's like it doesn't make it none of this fucking make sense. It's just whatever the hell the plot demanded that
Right.
week.
Like
Like the
Drago,
show is so
a
badly
few weeks
written.
ago, Drago, like when Waz was possessed by Momotaros and he did his Orisanjo thing, Drago said, "Forget critical thinking. Stupid shit triumphs all. This is why I love this show." And he's right.
Right, like the problem is like I was all for that, and like Japanime and stuff has been like super harsh on this. For most
Understandable.
of the show, I'm like, okay, yeah, let's just go for it's a dumb anniversary thing. Let's just go for the ride. But like this episode specifically is like literally just like, why did anybody do anything?
Okay,
Because
so
because the plot said
I,
so.
I'm going to try and pitch an idea here. I
Shit.
do not believe that the writers thought this far ahead, but maybe they did. Alright, so we've been operating under the assumption that Timeline 1 was when Sogo becomes the Demon King uninhibited. Uh, but what if that's actually Timeline 2, right? Timeline 1, Sogo does become the King of Time, but not the evil Demon King. Uh, and then he has his grandkids, and Schwartz wants to be like the evil Demon King, but his grandfather won't let him. So he goes back in time to push Sogo into a different timeline where Sogo becomes an evil Demon King.
Okay, that's interesting.
Also
So it's like
spawning.
you're saying, yeah, that would make sense, right? But that character has never shown up in the show. There's no
Right,
hint of that guy.
right. Which is why I don't think they thought this far ahead. But that also spawns Hiryu as a rival, which Schwartz takes advantage of, as we see here. Sogo grows up, he becomes the evil Demon King. The new Schwartz still doesn't get what he wants, possibly gets it even less so. Uh, and so the cycle repeats itself, except this time Gaze, Tsukuyomi uh, also come back in time to stop Sogo from becoming the evil Demon King, and as a result, Waz also comes back in time to push him on that path because, man, there's a lot of time travelers trying to fuck up the timeline, and that creates the Gaze Revive timeline where everything
Right,
is
right.
nice and peaceful, and White Waz is like, hey, I want to be a part of that, and he comes back in time for absolutely no reason just so he can say he helped.
Well, I mean, technically, he came back to make sure that like his timeline survived, right?
Right, but he
Um,
didn't need to.
yeah, honestly, if he hadn't shown up,
Yeah,
like
you
his
could make
timeline would have
you
worked
could
out.
make the argument that he destroyed his own timeline attempting to
Well,
save
that's
it.
not true. Like Gates Revive. Okay, yeah. So like Gates Revive would never exist without White Laws.
That's not true
Uh,
because Gaze Revive had to exist for White Waz to exist.
no, no, no. I know that, but the yeah, that's a good point.
All White Waz did was
Yeah,
probably speed up the process.
right. But the problem is like the future writers would never show up. Well, I guess the time jackers were doing that. In which case, yeah,
Uh,
you're right. Gates Revive would exist.
like
Yeah,
Sogo
yeah, you're
literally
right.
dreamed up one of the future riders.
Yeah, exactly. It's fucking nonsense. But man, your fix is so simple, but so fucking genius. Where it's like, yeah, the original timeline, Sogo's a good guy. Like
And
he, no, you know what? In the original timeline, Sogo is the real Kamen Rider of time.
right,
Right. Right? Like, oh yeah, he was a real Kamen Rider hero. And then like every other timeline, it's just a shittier and shittier version with more and more crazy
and
shit
now
happening.
it's gone so bad that it's now looping around back to Sogo being a hero.
Right, yeah, it's true. It's true. Like we broke the timeline so hard that
We're
it's like there's
fixing it.
no other option but to fix it. Yeah. Oh man, it's fucking good. Well, not even fully fixing it, it's just like patching it over. It's like, well, this isn't the original thing, but it'll work for now, I guess. Oh man, it's freaking great.
uh,
Also, way more interesting than anything the show has ever done. Right? Like, oh god.
like they're
Dude, this is the problem with Ghost, like the last arc, right? Where it's like so much interesting shit happening. They do not take the interesting route.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, I mean it's not this bad, but it's pretty bad.
Huh.
It's mostly like they just didn't have the budget or the suits left, because they were doing Amazons at the same time. And then like Toei kept pulling the writer off to do like other shit like the movies and stuff like that. So it's like it was just in like holding. It was just in like, okay, well, we have to fill time until like everybody comes back to do our final shit. Yeah, so like the final arc of Coast is kind of terrible. Um, this is not as terrible, but the writing's fucking mediocre.
But,
Like, did Decade even do anything this episode?
um, yes. He got into a fight with the End. That probably was finished because the End just froze time.
Oh, okay. Um, so I guess he did something, and
He
then
he was going to
and
do
then
something, but the End is just a dirty cheater.
yeah, I mean technically he did save them, which is the dumbest shit because like there were four riders fighting another Zi-O, and they all got their ass kicked versus this guy. Then another. Oh, you know what happened?
What?
It's the last guy is invincible thing. Do you know this trope? Where
Uh,
it's like, oh, if you're the only one standing, you're basically unbeatable. But as soon as you're like more than one, you're
as,
fucked.
as soon as reinforcements comes, your
You're
plot
screwed
armor
because you're
drops.
expendable. Right. And that's exactly what happened at the end of this episode. Like another Zi-O has his whole army, and he gets fucked. Right.
Oh
But
yeah.
like literally the same fight before, he was way
He,
more. I mean, like he was way more, way bigger disadvantage, and he kicked all their asses.
uh,
See what I'm saying? Like this episode is literally
I,
everything happens because the script said so. Like there's no reason for any
they,
of this. Like the worst is like, okay, Aura kind of personality, she might do something. Well, there goes her power, so she's
they,
got no chance. Damsel in distress now. Just so she can be bitter and like hand over the watch back to Zi-O, which he didn't even need because like the end took for no reason and like it just goes back, so it's pointless. And then like Tsukiyomi, oh, it would have been really interesting to have Tsukiyomi have powers, right, and help the people, like character development. You know, like hey, I have powers, maybe I'll become a different, help out in the fight. Nope. Well, you had powers. It kind of helped in a couple episodes. Now it's kind of an inconvenience. There go your powers. There goes any importance for you in the plot. You're just gonna be in the background now. It's like, what the fuck? Like, that pissed me off so much.
uh, speaking of those two, like, so now they're on the lam, hiding from the other riders, and the End was like made a contract with Schwartz to go and catch them. And he shows up, and yeah, he just gives them the Grand Zi-O watch because he's an anti-hero. He's not a bad guy, uh, and he doesn't actually care about them. He just wants what he wants. So he alerts the Netherriders to their location and calls it a day.
Yeah, I love the end, man. He's basically the best anti-hero because he's like, yeah, I don't care. I'm not gonna like
Yeah.
kill you, but I gave you enough help. Figure it out,
Look,
assholes.
I actually hate Schwartz just as much as you do. I don't like that he's bossing me around.
Right? Hey, maybe the rest of the fucking time jackers could have acted like this throughout the show instead of having, the secondary lead from a totally different show
Like,
show up and do a better job in 2 episodes than they've done like the whole damn show.
I like that we're getting that betrayal now where all this distrust for Schwartz that's been building up for too damn long is finally amounting to something. But why did Aura have to have her powers taken away? Ur still has his, yeah, I like
Okay,
that,
you,
but
you know why? Because then they can have somebody give Zi-O his damn watch back. Which again, they wouldn't have to do it if DN didn't steal it. and like the end only stole it because then he can make a contract with Schwartz to get the another Zi-O
Right.
watch. But I'm like, why did he have to do that? He could have just fucking worked with Decade and Zi-O and stolen it at the end, like he always does. So this plot line makes no fucking sense.
The opportunity to work for Schwartz was in front of him after Schwartz stopped him from stealing the Another Zi-O watch the first time around, so he just took advantage of the first scenario that presented itself.
Yeah, I know. I mean, like, I get why he did it. Like Dian's one of the few things in this damn show that makes sense. But the problem is, like, why did this plotline even need to exist? Right? Like, Schwartz hasn't been doing anything actively for the people he's helping out in, like, forever. Like, when's the last time he was running around assisting one of his another writers? Like, he's never done that.
Oh no, Schwartz doesn't care about the Another Riders. I don't even know why any of them were necessary if this was his end game, other than maybe just to establish their existence to build up to this point. Like,
You know what the worst part is though? Like his plan so doesn't make sense. His whole thing is like, oh, I got a decade's watch now. I'm like, you could have gotten that a third of the way through the show, right?
well, so I think
You could have killed everyone before they had any of their power ups.
I feel like he had to establish the Nether Riders to lead up to this. Like, it's the only way I can think to justify it, where if he had tried creating another Zi-O 2 without any Another Riders, another Zi-O 2 wouldn't have anyone to call out because they don't exist.
No. I know that part, but the thing is, like, another Zi-O 2 amounts to nothing. Schwartz, his whole plan at this point was get more power and get
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
decade watch, right? But he doesn't need another Zi-O for the watch. And Decade showed up like a third of the way through the show. At which point, like, all the heroes would have been weaker. He could have just taken Tsukasa's goddamn watch anytime. Instead of sending Aura to recruit Tsukasa, he could have just shown up right then and there, taken Decade's power, and killed everyone.
but I think what he needed was to establish all the Nether Riders first.
No. I mean, why? Like, he doesn't need another. He doesn't need another Zi-O. Like that
No, like,
character amounted to nothing.
not just for another Zi-O, but for another decade. Like, who is another decade going to be able to change into if the Another Riders don't exist?
See, we don't even know he has that power,
We don't,
right?
but
Yeah. So I'm like, there's no point for that. Like, it could just be a powered up monster suit. In which point, like, literally none of this
Yeah.
shit. Like,
The-
okay, if it changes forms, then fine. He had to do all this shit. If it doesn't, which is what I'm thinking, like, I don't think there's enough budget left. I mean, technically all those suits already exist, but I'm like, we've already had, like, I mean, it would make sense, but, like, literally we've seen all the Another Riders get their shit kicked in, like, this whole arc. Like, they're not a threat. Right? Like, yeah, okay. If another decade can change into them, then maybe Schwartz would have to make the Another Riders. If he doesn't, then, like, 2/3 of the show is pointless.
this is why you don't look too deep into this show, because when you start breaking it down, you get more questions than answers.
Right, like, I was fine with it. This is the worst part is this is a time traveling show, and they don't give a shit about the time
Right.
traveling.
Like, don't get me wrong, I'm thoroughly enjoying this last arc. Like, these last few episodes, I've actually been excited to sit down and watch, and I enjoy them when I'm watching them. It's when you sit down and you actually think about them that these problems start to arise.
Yeah, I think my problem is like this has been fine. This episode was really shit.
I thought this was a pretty good episode.
I thought it was, like, mostly because it's one giant fight and, like, who cares? So I'm like, of course Zio's gonna win. Why? Has he thought of a new tactic? Has he done anything? Of course not. Just because he's the hero. So I'm like, that's fucking lazy. And then the whole Schwartz shit with like, okay, yeah, you're explaining your backstory, but I'm like, it's the most generic shit ever, and like we all knew this was coming. So it's nothing. And then you took Tsukiyomi's powers away. I'm like, that's it. Fuck you. Like you don't even care anymore. You're just doing anything to fill out the episodes. That just pissed me off.
Yeah, like the idea that Tsukuyomi is developing these powers, only to have it taken away before she can truly like learn how to use them. It's not great. Uh, and Schwartz does that and was busted in to save her because, hey, guess what? He was a spy all along, like I said. And Schwartz goes, yeah, I knew you were a spy. Get the fuck out.
Right? At least Short's not a complete idiot.
Like
But
I like his
yeah.
arrogance there. It's like, yeah, I knew you were a spy. That changes nothing about me.
Right? I mean, like that's one of the like Schwartz as actor is really good because Schwartz is such a one note, but like his actor does such a good job portraying him with like how little he's given. He always has, and he always seems like important, even though like as we've been saying, he literally has nothing. His plot is terrible, right? Like he's one of the weakest fucking final villains ever. I mean, not power wise, but like plot wise, it's fucking garbage.
Yeah, like
But his actor is doing
he,
a great
oh,
job.
actor's killing it, but the character wise, like he spent how many times have I said I feel like Short should be getting close to the end of his plan, but I don't know what that is, or like I
Right?
feel like he
Like,
has made no progress. Like you're saying,
yeah,
all the other writers haven't felt like they were necessary to the villain's plan, and now that we're getting into the end game of it,
right. The worst part is that, like, we've been bitching about, like, what is Schwartz's plan? And, like, literally in 2 episodes, here's Schwartz's plan. Like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Um, like, okay, it makes sense why he wants it because, like, yeah, he just wants the power. I'm like, yeah, we all figured that part out. But then his grand plan is, I need decades power. I'm like, are you serious? Not even, like, another Amazio? Fucking decade. Like I would have been totally fine with another Amazio and all this shit where it's like okay, it's like Wizard all over again where it's like he needed to have people powered up to have his plan work out.
yeah, that was a great reveal. That the villain
Right.
wanted the hero to get stronger.
Right. And then it's because like oh, the heroes glitched out the villain's plan at the start of the show. Well, the villain just fucking remodeled his plan and adapted the hero's strengths to make a better plan, right?
It's like,
So it's like, yeah, that's one of the coolest things in Wizard, kind of.
uh, but here, like, Schwartz has only served to make Zi-O stronger, and I don't see how that serves his plan.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, yeah. I mean, there are multiple examples of different like villainous characters powering up the hero in Kamen Rider for their own ends. But this is like got to be one of the stupidest ones that I've ever seen.
Uh,
Um, it's just like okay, the biggest problem watching this show I feel like is this writer is not capable of writing a mainline show, or at least this one. Like Zio feels like it's just a filler show.
okay, uh, reminder. The first full series that this writer wrote was Ninja.
Yeah, yeah,
Reminder. He also wrote Go Rider.
he also wrote Go Rider, right? And then so the problem becomes like, okay, he should have been the secondary writer because he can write really good like
Right.
arcs. Like he can't write a long running thing.
Drago has actually said that the Weiwa's arc is his favorite in this show.
The White One's arc is so good. Um, yeah, like because like Gates fucking gets his shit together. Tsukiyomi goes crazy. Um, White shows up. Black Waz gets to be a good guy. Fucking
The Timejackers were actually
That
doing something at
shows
that point.
up. Exactly, Timejackers are doing shit. Sogo kind of starts acting more like a hero. So yeah, it is like the best arc of the damn show. Um, oh, and might have become a good guy. Sort of. They were hinting at it. Now who knows? I mean, like the worst part is then you have like the Blade and Agito and shit. So it's like okay, that's not bad. Then you get to this and it's like, well, this isn't bad, but it's like it's not bad build up. The payoff just keeps getting stupider and stupider. Okay. Anyway, let's just.
Anyways,
Down now.
Sogo and Gaze rescue Aura and from the Nether Riders. Aura gives Sogo the Grand Zi-O watch back, and he makes a promise to defeat Hiryu. Waz brings Tsukuyomi back to the resistance camp, where she reveals that Schwartz is her brother. Nobody really cares. And then our riders get
Holy shit, does nobody care? Like, yeah, you're just related to the villain. Whatever, it's fine. I mean, like, I get it. Maybe it's because, like, everybody kind of pieced two and two together. Because, like, she had time powers, so they maybe all just thought she was a time jacker. But, like, you're literally the sister of the main villain, and nobody gives a shit. Like, holy fuck. At least the uncle should have said something. Right?
He
like,
doesn't.
Whatever.
I once questioned why Tsukuyomi was on this show. So, our hero riders go and assault Hiryu's castle. We get a pretty neat group henshin. I do like the contrast between the different henshin styles, because ultimately only Sogo and Gaze are the same. Waz is a variation, and then Decade is literally his own thing.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that was one of the coolest things is when they roll up and it's like the four riders henshin, but then you have like one of the four riders is like, you know, like I guess technically we're calling them legend riders now, but like that's so fucking badass. It would have been great to see DN there too.
Yeah,
But
and
whatever.
I do like the utilization of legend riders in this show. Like, seeing rider team-ups like this should have been more of a emphasis in this show's plot.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple good ones like the Agito one, pretty good.
I don't think any will beat, for me, the group henshin in the Another Kabuto episode, where you have where both the good guys and the bad guys are all riders, and you just go around the circle of henshin.
Fuck, that was so badass. I mean, again, like this show, for as mediocre as the writing can be, is doing interesting shit. Like, so like in the beginning when they're like fighting and shit and they're doing like the rider kicks, it like zooms up in the sky and they're doing the rider kicks, so you see it from like a totally different angle that you normally do. So like, yeah, even now they're putting in interesting shots and stuff. So like, at least cinematography wise and well, maybe not directing, but yeah, cinematography wise they're at least trying new shit. It's just like, could you try just slightly harder in the writing? Like, it's not that hard, right? And like, and the worst part is like, oh, okay, so this is kind of one of those like, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Right? It depends on like because I mean decades like oh I got the gist of what's going on, and then Gates just calls him out. It's like okay, fucking explain to the rest of us. And it's like hey, I just said I got the gist of it. I'm like okay, that's kind of realistic, but then I'm like yeah, that's cool dialogue, but the problem is that's bad writing. That's just like hey, I don't care to explain it. Just go
It's
with
like,
whatever I
yeah,
said. Right? Like the writer literally is going like whatever you see on screen is all I'm wasting my time writing. Right? So it's
like
yeah.
my question is, how much of what we're seeing right now was planned out when the show was conceived? Like, was Tsukiyomi always intended to be Schwartz's brother? Because the amnesia revelation came
Sister?
sister. Sorry, fuck. Uh, the amnesia revelation didn't come until last arc with the Agito special. Like,
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
like how much was Gaze developed? Like, how much was Hiryu like planned out? Were the Time Jackers always going to like be betrayed by Schwartz? How much of this was planned out early on, and how much of that planning out did he plan out the path to get there?
See, for some arcs I feel like they planned a lot of shit out, but some like White was
I feel like White was the
seemed
most planned out thing in this show.
yeah, exactly, right? And then like I feel like okay, like Time Jackers betraying Schwartz, like that was a given. That was always gonna happen. Schwartz is an asshole. Um, like Black was probably switching sides, probably always gonna happen. Gates getting a power up and like becoming like a decent helper character. I'm like that was always kind of gonna happen. Tsukiyomi though, yeah, you're right. It's like it feels like like Tsukiyomi's plotline is the actual plotline for the show, right? So
Is
that's
it?
like again, I mean, think about it. Everything to do with her is the actual fucking thing. Like comes from her timeline which she's trying to reset, right? Um, this crazy time fucker is trying to kill her. Why? Because he wants to become right. She has amnesia because this guy, right? Like she's the medium between like uh Gate and Sogo, right? Um, another Zi-O is all her fault, right? Like literally, Tsukiyomi is the like the most of Zi-O's plot
Oh
is
my
Tsukiyomi's plot,
god. Oh my
and
god. It's
Tsukiyomi.
all her fault because she shouted out Sogo's name.
What are you talking about?
No, I'm saying you're right. Like,
Oh, on the bus?
on the bus, like, the
Yeah,
reason Hiryu clung onto Sogo super hard was because Tsukuyomi was shouting out Sogo's name.
and shooting up people. Yeah,
Yeah,
or the bus. Yeah, right. It's literally
she
all
was
her.
she was trying to warn Sogo to get away from Schwartz, but from Hiryu's perspective, it was all Sogo's fault, and that result is Tsukuyomi's fault.
Right. And so like the problem becomes like Tsukiyomi is like one of the least consistently written characters in the show. I mean, Aura just has no plot, and kind of regressed. Like he had a plot line, and then they went backwards. And Schwartz, like yeah, I mean, I feel like they always kind of knew like Schwartz wanted to become king. Like everybody fucking called that. So like that was probably always set in stone. Um, but like Tsukiyomi's shit, like seems like the least planned out.
I
You're right, and that's I mean, and I think that's the biggest problem. Of Zi-O is like Tsukiyomi is Zi-O's plotline, just like Koyomi is Wizard's plotline. But the difference is like I feel like the Koyomi and Wizard stuff is way better planned out
when
than this shit.
when you get to the revelation about Koyomi, you go, that makes sense. It was foreshadowed since the beginning, and it doesn't change anything that happened up to that point.
Right, and when you get to like the Tsukiyomi thing, it's like that makes sense.
But
But
now I
why
have
didn't you write
questions.
it? Yeah, right. It's like then why didn't you write the damn plot line to get to this point? Right? It's like
That's the solid question right there. Why didn't you write the plot line to get this point? Which goes back to what I was asking. Like, how much of this right now was planned out? And of those that was planned out, how much of it was planned out how to get there? Like, my complaint about the White Waz arc still remains. When Tsukuyomi heel turns on Sogo, it feels incredibly forced.
right. So and that's exactly like here's the problem. Like okay, all of Tsukiyomi's plot lines are because the plot said so, right? And so the problem then becomes it's like, yeah, her heel turn is super important to the show. The problem is it's really badly fucking done. And therefore, like this later arc, which is all like every character is doing shit just because the plot said so. So I'm like, okay, is the writer, whenever he has stuff plotted out, just really bad at doing character shit and plot stuff at the same time?
Maybe. Like,
Maybe.
I don't want to criticize his work. He is a professional writer, but
Oh, fuck that. He's getting paid for it. We can call him out on his bullshit.
uh, but there is a lot of inconsistency in the quality of the writing throughout this show.
Right, and that's yeah, that's basically it. Ultimately comes down to one, he's really not good at doing character and plot at the same time, and therefore the characters just go fucking Game of Thrones season 8, which is hey, we need this character to get there. Fuck their characterization. Just do whatever the plot says. Um, or the second half of the show, he's winging it super hard. So like everything after White Laws, which I don't know. Toss a coin. It's one or the other. I don't know which.
Okay.
Like the worst part. Okay, here's the worst part. Doesn't matter what the answer is.
Mhm.
They're both terrible, right? Like he either he's incompetent or he's just fucking flying by the seat of his pants. Which in turn just means he's incompetent in planning this. So it's bad either way. The last of the Heisei era going out like this, huh?
At least it's fun when you don't think about it. It's still cool rider
I mean,
shit.
it was fun when you didn't think about it. Now I have to because it's fucking Endgame, right?
Alright. So, the big fight between our heroes and all the Nether Riders happens, and you get this cool, like, overview shot where you see, like, all the different mini fights going on all at once. And I rewound and I watched them. And I have to say, Decade is easily handling himself the best against multiple opponents at once.
Yeah, I wonder why, right? Like, he's never had to go through this ever.
Also,
or once, or multiple times.
Also, another Kuga, the big CGI version of him, is
God
there.
damn it.
He's there, and all he does is
Is
blast.
blasting.
He blasts 3 random places where no one is standing.
I know, it's so fucking terrible. I'm like, I know why he's doing it, because we don't want to... We have the CGI model, therefore we can put it in.
The
it's gonna
CGI
take
wallet
way
is
too-
running out.
Yeah, it's not the budget, it's like, yeah, basically it's true. It's because they don't want to waste more money putting a fight up against him, right? So they're like, well, we had the model, if we put him in a corner somewhere, we don't have to make more
We don't
shit
have to have
interact
him
with
move.
Right, and it's like the shittiest thing. I'm like, fuck this. Seeing that actually kind of ticked me off too. I'm like, out of all of this garbage, why is that piece of shit here? Like, you are the worst reference. Like, you are worse than Yusuke. From fucking Decades Kuga.
Oh.
Like, you are a worse Kuga than that.
Oh man, that is that is a low bar.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, how do you go lower than the ground, than the basement? Oh, I guess you dig to the other side of the earth. Actually, that's not true because then you would run into movie war core, and that was at least entertaining.
Uh, so Sogo and another Zi-O get into their fight, and Sogo is now stronger than him because, and it's more or less what I said Sogo would need to do. He would need to overcome another hero's ability to like rewrite history. Except they don't explain how Sogo got to this point, because the only thing that happened was Sogo got more motivated to fight. He didn't actually get stronger in any way, but now he's stronger.
Right? I guess just another Zio had too many allies, therefore he got a massive debuff. It's so stupid. Like, this is what I'm saying. It's like the laziest written episode in a long time.
Um, so Decade and Deanne get into their little spat, but it's short-lived because Deanne can just freeze time now. And Schwartz steals his rider powers to make the Another Decade watch. We do get a comedy bit between Gaze and Waz, though, where Waz tries telling Gaze, like, yeah, you were my Demon King's loyal follower in the other timeline, and Gaze just immediately doesn't believe him.
Yeah, that was funny. Um, then again, like Sogo told him that Was says that, so
Yeah.
yeah, it makes sense. Um, yeah, that was a nice bit of banter, I guess. Otherwise,
See,
it was
seeing
a
them do a
good
joint
fight.
finisher together, though, like while having that conversation was pretty good because that's just how used to doing this they are at this point.
Right, that was interesting. The like honestly, I wish they would have like you're fighting like all the Heisei riders basically and their power sets. Like not the main power sets, but their base powers. Like you should have had to come up with some crazy creative solutions to beat them,
Nah, just
but
brute
they
force
don't do
it.
anything. Yeah, I know, right? Like hell, even if you had to just reuse all your ride watches, at least they would have had a use for that shit. You know, but they don't even do that.
Uh, and then Sogo delivers the finisher against Hiryu, which is all 20 rider kick. That's what I'm calling it, at least.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet. Um, I mean, like, I remember, like, the last time this happened, we fucking, like, took our Daishocker's base, right?
Right.
Remember, like, the 45 rider kick? So, yeah, that was cool.
What I really liked is that as each kick landed, that rider's symbol flashed, and so in the span of like two
Yeah,
seconds, you get like all 20 of them.
that was fucking awesome. And by 45, I mean, like, the 45th
Yeah, the
anniversary,
45th
maybe, not, like,
anniversary,
40.
not 45 riders.
I mean, we have that many at this point. We have, like, a ton of riders, but yeah, it wasn't like 45 riders just kicking a building down. Um,
uh,
they were just like flying in a formation that said 45 and then rider
but
kicking.
unlike that time, this rider kick hit so hard that it rewrote history because everything reverts back to
Yeah,
normal.
yeah, yeah. Right? Um, okay, technically it just defeated the monster, which undid its effect, but hey, whatever. It's cool.
He rider kicked so hard
Considering
he
like
rewrote history.
yeah, considering the Showa riders have some weird ass timey wimey power that's only been ever used like twice. Um, fuck it, I can go with it.
All right. Deanne steals the another Zi-O 2 watch. Schwartz tells Hiryu he can piss off now. Uh, and then flashes off his another decade watch to the heroes as he walks away.
Yeah. I love how, like, Decade's just lying down there. I'm like, Shorts just fucking murdered a dude. I'm like, not really, but that would
He
have been
basically
fucking
murdered a dude.
hilarious.
And then
Right?
just walks away.
Walks away. Ah, fuck, it's great. I also love how, like, oh right, hey, wait, we're missing two ride watches. You mean the ones that are showing up next episode? It's like, oh right, nice. Like, okay, the another decade one makes sense. Why is fucking Drive showing up?
I don't know.
Right?
Why
Like,
is Aqua showing up?
okay, Aqua's cool. Fuck off. Any excuse to have Aqua.
You've been wanting this for so long. You've been wanting this since they said Future Riders.
I know. I mean, like, I would have liked some of the other ones, but like, fuck it. Aqua's awesome. I want the Ski-Doo also. God
I
damn
think so. Going off the idea that like Schwartz needed to create all of the Nether Riders to like build up to his power, he does need to create another drive. And now that he has another decade watch, he has no excuse not to at this point. It brings the question of why he jumped into another Zi-O 2 so hard when his collection was incomplete, but semantics.
Right, right. Yeah. Also, okay. Okay, if Aqua's showing up, I want his Ski-Doo, and I want another drive to have a car. I don't even care what it is. Just him. Fuck it. I don't care. Get the fucking truck from Kuga, right? The killer truck thing. I'm fine with it. It's not gonna happen, but god damn it, that'd be fucking great. All for if we're just going with like fuck it, turn off your brain, just go with the crazy. Like I would totally be on board with that shit. It's not gonna happen, but damn it. And also, Aqua's never gonna fucking get his damn Ski-Doo again.
Nope.
Ever. Because Toei is too cheap to fucking shoot on water, most likely. But, damn it, at least we're getting Aqua, so that's...
So...
What the fuck is he doing here?
Chasing down another drive, I think.
Huh.
Oh, no, wait, I mean... I kind of said that, but hold on. I think he actually gives a short... He says, I've come for you to someone. And it might be Tsukuyomi?
Huh.
Like, he's talking to So the preview, like, because the dialogue is all mixed up, so we don't know what's going on. But he is seen talking to Tsukuyomi when the words, I've come for you, flash. So he probably like came to help Tsukuyomi out or something. We've had all these time travelers after Sogo's head, after Gaze's head.
Right. I mean, it would make sense, kind of. Oh, dude, the funniest thing would be if like Schwartz and Tsukuyomi aren't Omazio's grandkids. They're just inheritors of what's the name? The foundation from O's. Cake Boss. His company.
Yeah, I only know Cake Boss.
Yeah, whatever. So like, if they're like Cake Boss's descendants, because like
he was the one that gave he was the one who gave Aqua his power, right?
Yeah, he did. So that would be
the Kogami Foundation.
There you go. Nice. Yeah, I guess it makes sense why fucking new Kabuto is guarding it.
We couldn't remember because we never call Cake Boss by his name, which is Kosei Kogami.
Cake Boss? Who calls Cake Boss by his name?
No one. That's why we didn't know his company's name, because it's named after him.
True. Literally everybody in this damn fandom calls him Cake Boss.
What else would you call him?
Oh man, so good. Um, yeah. I mean, any theories? I guess. But I
About.
guess like the only thing is like he's here for Tsukiyomi.
I mean, maybe he's here to protect her?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. But I'm like, who would send him? Like
Or maybe.
maybe a original Zi-O? That would be cool if that guy
Maybe he
existed, which he
heard.
doesn't.
Yeah, maybe he heard, like, oh, she's supposed to be the next heir to the throne.
You know, that'd be really cool. But you know what? Fuck it. I have no theory. It's actually gonna. Hopefully, they do something interesting, right?
Uh,
Because like, I mean, even if Aqua's just there, I'm fine with it because Aqua, that's cool. But if they tie it in somehow, that'd be really cool.
um, so, some news about the movie coming up over Quartzer. It takes place
Yeah.
between episodes 44 and 45 of Zi-O. And next week's episode is
Oh,
44.
cool.
So, that tells me that Sogo is getting the Drive Watch next week. Uh, and
Yep.
if it's gonna be another two-parter, then it's gonna be the most awkward two-parter because an entire movie is going to take place in between.
Yep. At least the drive one happened at the end of an arc. So like, Evolve was just different at the beginning of another arc. So it's like, all right, arc movie arc. Right here, it's like arc middle of the freaking arc movie and then continue. It's like so, man. Like Toei, what the fuck are you doing? Also, why? Like, literally, okay, that's not true. A lot of cool people are showing back up in that damn movie. Um, so I guess it like the time travel is warranted, I guess, or something. But again, like, why drive, man? It's like this is way too late to put it in drive tribute.
Okay. Uh, here's what Aqua is doing, right? He's here to take Gaze and Tsukuyomi back to the future.
Okay, why?
I
Like that
don't
doesn't
know,
even.
but that
Huh.
is what's happening.
Okay, that's interesting. I mean, technically, Aqua doesn't have a time machine, so like, how the fuck is he doing any of this shit? Whatever. I guess we'll see. Anyway, um, yeah, this was a fucking mediocre episode, writing wise. Schwartz's actor is great. Fight was okay. Um, Another Zero continues to be super fucking underused for how important that character should be. Hopefully, another decade actually changes forms because goddamn if he doesn't, holy shit, wouldn't I be even more angry?
Um, uh, the new series Kamen Rider Zi-O is set to air on September 1st, which means Zi-O is getting 49 episodes.
Ah, god damn it, not even a fit. Actually, you know what? Fuck it. It doesn't even have enough plot to go for the
For the full
episodes it
50.
has. 50, I'm like, nah, fuck it. You know, like kill it now. It doesn't even have enough plot for what it has right now.
Uh,
I mean, like we could maybe do like a speculation podcast or something on it, but like At this
Oh,
point, like, one, it's gonna be spoilers for the new show, and two, it's like we're gonna be so fucking off.
well, they
Because, like,
released a
right,
trailer. If you'd like me to show it to you.
honestly, no. Because I'm gonna get either really hyped or really pissed. Because the worst thing is, like, if I go, like, oh, that looked mediocre, that's just gonna fucking piss me off even
All
more.
right. Do you
Because,
want
like, no.
Do you want to know who the writer for 01 is?
Okay, I can go with that. Let's.
All right. Yuya Takahashi, the lead writer for Kamen Rider X8.
Whoa. Okay, holy shit, that's an interesting pull. I was not expecting that.
Me neither.
I mean, he just wrote like he worked on the Amazon movie with Kobayashi, so that was cool. Um, yeah, well, like the Amazon movie is really interesting, but like, holy shit, the guy who wrote X. Okay, you know what? It's probably because like X8 is one of the few like solid hits that Toei's had in a long time. Honestly, giving him. Okay, here's the thing. Um, if he stays away from physical comedy for his characters, it'll be fine. Like, I don't want a fucking Emu tripping and falling type shit. Uh, Hero's cake eating was kind of okay. His dad's fucking, like, one note jokes constantly running
I
a little over the top.
constantly
Like,
forgot he was a character on the show.
he's right, exactly. Dan, okay, to be fair, nobody could have predicted
No
the
one,
Dan shit.
no one can top that. Okay.
Yeah, nobody could have predicted the Dan shit, so I'm like, it's
They
fine.
they
Give it a rest,
accidentally
don't overdone.
casted the most perfect actor they could have.
Right, exactly. Um, so that's gonna be interesting. Like, fuck, that's awesome. Like, especially because what's the theme? Like, hacking or something, right? Like, it's tech
Um,
based.
it is going
So,
back to more tech-based stuff.
I mean, especially because, like, okay, I'm not gonna describe the suit or anything, but like, I'm actually kind of impressed how much of a throwback the main suit looks, or at least the first form of the main suit.
uh, it has an emphasis on artificial intelligence.
Okay, so that could be like X8 or Drive. Either way, it's cool. Yeah. So you saw the trailer.
Huh.
I mean, you can say your thoughts without describing what's happening, like good, bad,
All right,
mediocre.
all right. Out of context opinion
Yeah.
on the 01 trailer. Um, it's weird that Smart Brain are the good guys. It's good to see a Zect style military back. I'm not sure how I feel about the new Peridot having a gremlin suit.
Gremlin suit? What do you mean? Like
Like,
literally, it looks like Gremlin.
not literally, but it gives me that vibe. I'll throw up a picture for you. Not for you listening to this podcast. I can't do that. Sorry. Um, if I can find it,
It's okay. Don't worry
I
about
can
it.
do it after the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, as Japanime said, or like most people, it's like spread out the fucking gimmicks, and they seem to be kind of doing that, especially because like they have more than one type of driver, and there's multiple forms at least in like the information's come out for them, so like the main rider is getting more forms than anybody else, but like the other people are also getting multiple forms, so that's cool. Also female rider, not a secondary, I mean not a first, that's not gonna happen. not a secondary, which sucks. Third rider though, so hey, at least she's gonna be there. She's getting a secondary form, so at least she'll be there for a while at least.
Uh, she is going to be one of the main characters, so I imagine that she'll be sticking through. Um, I think she's going to be
Yeah,
the female lead.
I mean it'll be interesting, especially because well that makes sense with the bug thing going on. It's also interesting where it's like the way they all look, where it's like some of them look like more regular people, like businessy and shit, and then like you have other weirdos who've got like the full ninja shit going on. Um, right? So it's like a weird mix.
So
Hmm.
there's the suit that I was talking about.
Oh God, you're right. Um,
Now, I
that is
don't
a
know,
weird mix of a lot of different suits.
and it has a rider belt on. Well, it looks like a rider belt at least. I don't know, but it's probably some kind of like Bugster style, just like mutation. I also don't actually know who that is underneath there, but this was the joke I was making about the new Parado.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. I mean, like considering they're putting in Zek type shit, it might just be okay. Here's the thing. The ones in Kabuto have like multiple forms, so they have like the basic ones, and then they can level up. Like in Drive, they do that too. Like the Roimudes have like regular forms, and then they can like level up, kind of. And then like the Bucksters literally level up. So like yeah, right. So the monsters could have multiple forms, which is cool. Um, yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Um, hope. I mean, okay. Here's the thing. My dude wrote Amazon's movie, so like two things he's done fairly solid, right?
Yep.
So like maybe he can do another show, it'll be solid. Like here's fucking hoping. Like as long as they don't go overboard with the physical comedy. Like that was the only thing holding X8 back. And that's not true. A couple other things like Chronos and Hero, like basically anything to do with Chronos was kind of shit. But that's because Chronos was too OP for its own good. Like the storyline wasn't bad with Cronus. It's just like it got boring because he's too damn
Like,
strong.
like he got defeated every other episode, and then just like
Yeah,
metagamed his
pissed off,
way
right?
into not being defeated. And it's like, how many times can you do this to us? Like, he's
Right.
lost
Like
already. Just accept it and move on.
exactly. As long as you don't put a Kronos in the show, in the new show, I think he'll be fine. I mean, like X8 has issues. Like it's not perfect. Um, like especially early on, like until the curious shit happens, like the plot really doesn't get going. Like it was fun, but like until the curious stuff happens, like XA doesn't fully get good, right? So like to be fair, it's a writer show with a lot of suits. Like if it's fun, it'll be fine early on, but like maybe spread out the plot a little bit better than XA. Like XA is good, but like it's got issues too, especially at the beginning. It probably helps that the goddamn gimmick's not as obnoxious looking as X8. Like I like X8's look, but like some people don't. This show looks a little more put together, so that's good.
One commentary Vash and Drago had was that Zero One suit should have had like some kind of red scarf.
Yeah. Okay, See, every time, like, the scarf problem is the same thing. It's like, it's too damn dangerous to do stunts and that shit nowadays.
Right.
But my solution to that is, like, one, CGI the scarf, like, double. Two, make it like, Nazca, where it's like, it's a scarf, but it has another effect. Or three, make it like modern fucking Rider throwbacks to 1 and 2, where it's like it's just on the back. It's just on the suit on the back,
Right.
right? Like it's a
Like
design. So I'm like,
in
fucking pick
motion,
something.
the suit looks fine without a scarf. It just would have been a nice detail.
Yeah, I think they're Well, there was like a rumor that they were gonna get rid of the names for drivers, that they were gonna call them gears or something. So I'm like, what? We're going back to fives now. Um, but they stuck with drivers. So
Oh.
I'm like, had they done that, honestly, I'd be fine with it because it's like, okay, enough. Like we can only throw back to show us so much. That was like 2 years ago. Like, give it a rest, right? Like, I mean, I know the suit looks pretty, is a nice throwback, like the base suit. Like shit, I was not expecting it to be that much of a throwback to Showa. But you're right, like a scarf would be cool. Okay, here's the thing. Here's my compromise. Give the main character a scarf,
Oh, he
right?
doesn't have that.
Yeah, I know he doesn't, which is annoying. But like that's my thing. Like if you can't give your hero like the hero suit because like it's too dangerous choreography wise to have fucking basically a noose hanging around your damn main actor
Right.
or main stunt guy when they're like jumping around and kicking shit. Um, like give it to him in human form. It's fine.
All right. So
Um,
that's
yeah,
enough,
that's
Kamen
everything I got.
Rider. Uh, all in all, the
Yep.
this episode Zio was fine. Like it works if you don't really dig into the details like we did. Uh, but I'm still looking forward to the rest of the final arc for Zio.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Dian's gonna come back because there's no way we're gonna let him off the hook with time powers. That's like way too dangerous. Also, like Tsukasa is like Decade is Dian's like best friend. But as much as they act like frenemies, I don't think like Dian would just let his friend just like end up dead.
Unless he was the one pulling the trigger.
Yeah, I know, but in that okay, to be fair, he got pissed off and he took over Big Machine, right? But he wasn't actually planning to kill Decade. Oh, you're talking about the movie trailer. I'm
No,
talking about the actual movie.
I'm talking about the original ending to the TV
Yeah,
series where
yeah,
the
that's
cliffhanger is the end shooting Decade in the face. But
right.
they had to
And I'm talking
retcon
about
that because they
right,
didn't know how
right.
to follow that up.
Yep. And then I'm talking about like superhero Tyson. um, yeah.
All right. Thanks for joining
Anyway,
us.
yeah. Thanks for joining us. This was it's not terrible, but it's not a good episode. I mean, it's just there.
Uh,
Hopefully the next
are we still doing
thing, I
Sentai
don't
after
know,
this?
arc, two-parter, whatever, is good. What?
Are we still doing Sentai after this?
Yeah, I mean, you're just gonna probably have to do it. Correct. We'll we'll stop the stream, put it on the Sentai one. My bad.
All right. So
Alright.
thanks for joining us. We're gonna do the Sentai podcast after this one, hopefully much shorter. And tomorrow we'll be back for more Power Rangers Beast Morphers. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for joining us. See you next.